Hi there, good evening and welcome to the Sunday edition of The Burning Question. The fact that you're watching News Sunday shows how seriously you take what's happening around you and in the country. So let's have an hour of engaging news conversation. Belagavi has become a hot spot of a language war yet again, with protests, clashes and assaults being reported over the failure of a bus conductor to speak in Marathi despite being a Kannadiga within Karnataka territory. This has happened over the last 48 hours. A couple of days earlier, Tamil Nadu Deputy Chief Minister Udayanidhi Stalin threatened an open language war if the centre did not roll back its three-language policy, which is integral, in fact, to the new education policy. This is not the first time that the DMK has pushed Tamil nationalism in the recent past. Up north, in Uttar Pradesh Assembly, introduction of live translation into sub-regional dialects of Awadhi, Braj and Bundeli led to a clash of sorts between Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Samajwadi Party leader of opposition Mata Prasad Pandey, as he wanted Urdu included in those translations. Are these language wars good? In which direction are they headed, particularly in Tamil Nadu? That's our debate number one tonight. And then Giorgia Meloni set the proverbial cat among the pigeons with a comment that having lost the popular sentiment, the global left was dissing the rise of the global right by calling it a conspiracy. From Trump in the United States to Meloni in Italy herself, from the rise of right-wing parties in Germany and the European Union to even the continued dominance of the BJP in India. This does seem like a global phenomenon. And in some cases at least, the left-dominated deep state has sought to reverse this with covert and even overt interventions. One example of which is the raging US aid controversy, with Prime Minister Modi speaking on it for the first time today. He also suggested that this was done to a plan to prop up some anti-Hindu leaders. We discuss that in tonight in the second half of The Burning Question. So two debates lined up. First one, the language wars, and the second one, whether, as Prime Minister suggested, an attempt has been made to compromise India's democracy. Let me get you the headlines first.
हिंदू आस्था से नफरत करने वाले ये लोग सदियों से किसी न किसी भेष में रहते रहे हैं.
In Madhya Pradesh, Prime Minister takes down the anti-Sanatan lobby, says the opposition's agenda is to divide people.
इन नेताओं का एक वर्ग ऐसा है जो धर्म का मखौल उड़ाता है. विदेशी ताकतें भी इन लोगों का साथ देकर देश और धर्म को कमजोर करने की कोशिश करती दिखती है.
Prime Minister also hints at foreign hands, says foreign powers are supporting anti-Hindu netas in India. Maharashtra suspends state bus services to Karnataka as language war row escalates.
$15 million for helping India with its elections. Why the hell? Why don't we just go to all paper ballots? Let them help us with their elections, right? We're giving money to India for elections. They don't need money.
Donald Trump, for the fifth time, questions US aid funding into Indian elections. There is a global storm over the Indian sellouts.
Today, when Trump, Meloni, Milei, or maybe Modi talk, they are called a threat to democracy. This is the left's double standard.
And that's Giorgia Meloni's sharp takedown on left extremists. She also gives a shout out for Prime Minister Modi and, of course, Trump. All right, friends, I have already said the debate in terms of the language wars that are really panning out from Maharashtra and Karnataka to Tamil Nadu to Uttar Pradesh. For me, the Tamil Nadu one is the most concerning one. Let's look at the facts as to what has happened over the last 48 hours. Then I come back for a conversation.
The language wars have been reignited. The border issue between Karnataka and Maharashtra has flared up yet again. The man you see on your screen is Mahadev Hukeri. A mob of 20 savagely attacked him inside a KSRTC bus. His crime, he did not speak Marathi. Watch how they corner him like a pack of wolves and unleash a brutal assault. The bloody tension spilled over into Chitradurga, where pro-Kannada activists struck back. Their anger turned into action as they targeted a Maharashtra bus. The flames of rage reached Maharashtra as well. Karnataka buses were vandalized, defaced and sent back. Not just in Karnataka, language war was seen in the Uttar Pradesh assembly as well. UP North in Uttar Pradesh, as Samajwadi Party leader demanded inclusion of Urdu. Here's what Yogi Adityanath said.
कल हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे इसका शुभारंभ किया, समाजवादी पार्टी ने उसका विरोध किया है और मुझे लगता है कि प्रोसेस का हिस्सा होना चाहिए, इनको समाज के सामने एक्सपोज करना चाहिए। अपने बच्चों को ये लोग पढ़ाएंगे इंग्लिश स्कूलों में और दूसरे के बच्चे के लिए अगर वो सुविधा सरकार देना चाहती है तो कहते नहीं उर्दू पढ़ाओ इसको, यानी उसको मौलवी बनाना चाहते हैं, कठपुल्ला पर की ओर इसको ले जाना चाहते हैं। ये नहीं चल सकता।
मुख्यमंत्री जी ने पता ही नहीं उर्दू के बारे में, सोचो उर्दू के बारे में, उर्दू के बातें से विरोध कर रहे थे। और सच्चाई ये है कि उर्दू भारतीय भाषा है, उर्दू भारतीय भाषा है, यहीं पर जन्मी है, यहीं पर पली है, यहीं पर बड़ी हुई है।
The demand came after the Speaker of UP Assembly had mentioned that the proceedings of the House will now be available in Awadhi, Bhojpuri, Braj, Bundeli, as well as English. This even as Tamil Nadu has been up in arms against the centre on the NEP and three-language policy. Is there an attempt to reignite the language debate across the country?
All right, that's what we are debating. Is there an attempt to ignite or reignite language wars? And my opinion is yes, there is a clear-cut attempt with, in the case of Tamil Nadu at least, a clear case of pushing in an element of sub-nationalism also, and that's worrisome. Joining me in this conversation, YG Madhuvanti, political analyst, leans towards the right. She's joining us live from Chennai. We also have Kishore Subramaniam, political commentator. Tonight, joining us live from Bengaluru, essentially from Chennai. And then we have Professor Chandan Gowda, political analyst, live from Bengaluru, leans against the right. And Satish Kesing, senior journalist, he's joining us live from Noida. And I want to begin with you, Pulla Rao, political analyst, live from Chennai. And by the way, it's a Chennai majority panel tonight, and a Tamil majority channel, if I could say. So Pulla Rao, at least that complaint is not there tonight. And then, if you concede, can I ask you why this attempted reigniting language war that we can clearly see coming out of Chennai?
It's not coming out of Chennai, it's coming out of Delhi.
It's coming out of Chennai, for God's sake. We have Udayanidhi Stalin saying, threatening a language war.
Where was the need for a minister in Delhi to say, you take it or leave it? Is this the way our central government minister behaves? On such a sensitive issue as you have so nicely articulated? You have so nicely said everything? Is this the way to do it? What is the three-language formula? In the three-language formula, which was somehow in 1968 adopted and respected, it then said that those whose mother tongue, you have your mother tongue, then Hindi, then English. Now, if your mother tongue is Hindi, that's enough. You don't have to go for a third language. So people in southern states do feel grievance about it, and they have only accepted two-language policy. If you want another language to be taken up, something called persuasion, something called discussion, that should do it. You don't trust languages down people. If I don't like your language, you don't like my language, you don't trust it down. This is a federal setup. You have every right, the government of India, to propagate its policy, but you persuade people. You don't take this stance. Countries abroad have got divided because of this kind of attitude. They had to reconcile later on. You had Sri Lanka, see what happened there. It all started with Tamil. You have Malaysia. They had a very big problem of language riots. Why do you do this? What is the grave urgency for the government of India to issue such statements? It could very well have said, let us discuss it. Let us find a via media. And then it's over. What is this big war, fake war? It's a fake war. There's nothing.
Okay,
There's nothing to it.
So you made a few points, and I would want to go through them one by one. And good that I began with you. You have really set the debate afire. You know, you're saying there are language riots happening. They have happened in Sri Lanka, and you're saying they happened in Malaysia. You know, I thought language riots were a thing of the past. Maybe your generation lived through it. I have not. The first time I heard of language riots was when I was reading, I think, The Midnight Children, where there was this bit about language war playing a role in the separation of Maharashtra and Gujarat, and then, of course, the linguistic division of states. My question is, if language riots happened in some stage in our history, do we really need to get them back? I mean, let me go take this to Satish K. Singh. Satish K. Singh, one more point Pullar Rao made was, why impose Hindi? I mean, there are grievances, there are grudges. If there is a language which is not liked, why impose it? What's the question of not liking? Hindi is a national language unless you don't believe in the constitution, and nobody is imposing it, or there's no question of not liking it. You might not understand it, might not want to understand it, but not liking is little chauvinism, Satish K. Singh, I thought.
You see, India is a conglomerate or a union in diversity. You have to respect the regional linguistic identity. You see, when you look at the history of BJP and RSS, they used to call Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. And they have come a long way. I do agree. Even in 24 manifesto, if you look at it, they have toned down a bit. So what essentially I see is the language question in India is more or less settled. And if language riots, as you called, or language thing erupts, the worst hit will be on the desired expansion of Hindutva beyond Vindhyas. So let's be very sensitive about it. One. Second point, we are all aware that Hindi was tried to be imposed way back before independence in 1937 in Tamil Nadu. And you could see what all happened up till, say, 60s. So it's a very sensitive issue.
Who imposed Hindi in Tamil Nadu in 1937, by the way, Mr. Singh? I think it was Rajaji. He was as Tamil as they come. Right? I mean,
yes.
So it was not an imposition, it was certain idealism. Who started this Hindi as a lingua franca? Before I go to the right-wing panelists, if I can go to Mr. Gowda, Chandan Gowda, this thing about, I'll come back to you, Mr. Singh, just getting everyone involved because it's a lively conversation. Did Rajaji impose Hindi? Was he being a Hindi chauvinist when he brought in that law? Obviously, there were protests, and of course, things have evolved since then. But since Satish K. Singh mentioned about it, was Mahatma Gandhi being a Hindi chauvinist? He was himself a Gujarati, Chandan Gowda.
Before I say anything in response to the question, a small correction. Hindi is not a national language. The constitution calls it a Raj Bhasha, not a Rashtra Bhasha. Let's be very clear. Raj Bhasha means for administrative correspondence at the central level, Hindi can be used. And now coming back to your question about Rajaji or even Mahatma Gandhi, they're all entitled to their views. Gandhi felt Hindustani was the language that everyone had to learn, etc. But please remember, he may have had his thoughts. Rajaji may have had his thoughts, but that doesn't mean everyone has to endorse them. People debated them even when they were saying these things. And people who admire Gandhi in the South don't like that part of Gandhi. So we should be aware that ideas have a life, and they're open to public deliberation, and further clarification and revisions are in order. And like the first panelist, Pullar Rao, was saying, there's the three language formula, has to look into the inherent unfairness inside it in terms of what it expects, non-Hindi speakers to do in schools, etc. And it's not just the South, by the way. Bengal doesn't like it. Parts of Western India also don't like it. And yeah, it's a deeper, longer question, Abhishek.
All right. And I don't know, because you see, it's not just Tamil versus Hindi. For example, Chandan Gowda, since you are in Bengaluru, it's Marathi versus Kannada also. But I'll come to that in a bit. Kishore Subramaniam, as a Tamil, how much are you in agreement with the threat of language war that Stalin has given? I mean, very clear threat. I mean, in so many words that we will not shy away from launching a second language war.
Okay, good evening to all my panelists. And Abhishek, let me tell you one thing. Forget about the politicians' angle. Now let's just look at it from a perspective of students and probably parents who would like their children to learn. So let's take a survey among students in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, whichever state you choose, and ask them, would you like to learn 3 languages or not? I am telling you, all the politicians, whether it is Tamil Nadu, whether it is Maharashtra, whether it is Karnataka, will have egg on their face. Point number 1. Point number 2, there is no imposition. If the NEP says 3 languages, why can't the third language be something else? The third point, now in every central board, which is the CBSE school, there is a 3 language formula. And by the way, there are a lot of CBSE schools being run by Tamil Nadu politicians. Now, what do they want to say? Do they want to say that, okay, if there is NEP and 3 language formula, we're going to close those schools? It's not going to happen. So let's be practical. Language as a polity issue is dead, and the rubber cannot be reignited at this point of time. It's something which doesn't resonate. If you carefully watch social media, Abhishek, you will find that the commoner, whether it is in Coimbatore, Madurai, Salem, where you do a simple video shoot and ask, are you okay? People say, I want to learn Hindi because I want to go to Delhi, I want to talk. Now, the fact is that nobody should be imposing it on you, but nobody should be imposing that you shouldn't learn it either. So if the imposition of a language is bad, the imposition of not allowing a language is also equally bad. So let's put it simple and straight. If it's the perspective of the Indian, the student, the children, give them the voice and the vote to choose if they want to. And believe me, you're going to get an answer which is not going to favor the politicians. Why do the politicians keep doing this? For a simple thing. It is a vote bank game. And okay, I'm agnostic on political parties, whether it is Tamil Nadu, whether it is Karnataka, whether it is Maharashtra. Anybody raising this linguistic fire is going to have to remember that if there is somebody who's going to burn on this fire, it's going to be themselves. If not today, sooner rather than later. Okay, vote bank politics. But Madhavanti, you think, as Pulla Rao suggests, that this could have been just handled a little better? Maybe the Union Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan, was being a little abrasive when he said that your funds would stop and there is take it or leave it on the issue of 3-language policy. Maybe it could have been handled a little better to avoid the kind of standoff we are seeing between Centre and Tamil Nadu.
Good evening, Abhishek, and to my fellow panelists. I just want to ask Mr. Pulla Rao, was he so vociferous when the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu here said Sanatan is equal to dengue and malaria? Who handled that right?
Pulla Rao,
nobody seemed to bother then.
You. I don't know.
Nobody seemed to bother then. Nobody seemed to bother then. Now you're talking about what Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan said, and you say he could have handled it with a little more maturity. Please answer me as about
today.
That's not the topic, sir.
That's the topic in the second half, because the Prime Minister has said that obviously there are some anti-Hindu leaders who have been dissing Mahakumbh. But we'll come to that. Madhavanti, hold on to this part of your thoughts for the second half of the debate. We're discussing language war.
With regards to the language issue itself, with regards to this whole language issue, I just want to tell you a very simple point. There is an entire generation in Tamil Nadu that is upset because they couldn't learn Hindi at one point in time. You cross the Chittor border, sir. If you do not know Hindi, it is very difficult because everybody can't learn Telugu, everybody can't learn Marathi, everybody can't learn Kannada. You just saw what happened at that bus point with the bus driver and those people. Now, there is a netizen. There are so many netizens who are giving videos. You go onto social media, you'll see people giving videos saying, "अरे तुम मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तर प्रदेश चलते हो तो अंग्रेजी नहीं आता, तो हिंदी में बात करना पड़ता है." So this is not something that is being imposed. It is an additional skill you are learning. And the NEP is not imposing Hindi. Please tell me, where does it say in the NEP that you have to learn Hindi? There is no such saying. In fact, our Prime Minister is one man who has translated the Chitradurga into 19 languages, sir.
Okay.
And
you know,
supporter of Tamil more than anybody else.
Okay,
so let's not throw these dramas and dialogues around here.
Dharmendra Pradhan has said that. I don't know whether you've been. He said, take it or leave it. You have to accept this policy.
I think it was not specific to Tamil Nadu, Pullarao. It's to all the states, you know. And as I mentioned, it was none other than the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, who decided that only Hindi or Hindustani, as Satish K. Singh would say, or Chandan Gowda said, I believe, is going to be the lingua franca of that's the limitation of English language, you see, that just to underscore its status as the language of communication, it has to borrow from French. And that's the beauty of languages, or whatever, you know. The fact of the matter is, Satish K. Singh, you were mentioning about the evolving position of the BJP. It's interesting that this is not just about language. Of late, we have seen the Tamil Nadu establishment under DMK pushing a certain narrative. There is an element of soft separatism. You know, fund an US $1 million prize for deciphering the Indus script, because a lot of people believe, perhaps rightly so, that there are some elements in the Indus script which as yet is undeciphered, which resemble the Tamil. Also, for example, he recently announced, Stalin, the chief minister himself, that Iron Age began in Tamil Nadu. I think again rightly so. But, you know, taken together, Tamil language, Iron Age beginning in Tamil Nadu, and Indus script prize, I think there is an attempt being made to sort of create an identity which can be held on to and showed as different from rest of the country. Satish K. Singh?
I think Prime Minister of the country should wear lungi more and visit Tamil Nadu more. You see, there is a distinctive identity, and all these political parties, they are competing with each other to, you know, somehow, you know, evoke that fragility and all sort of the frailty that we have in our polity. Yes, I do agree with you that Tamil Nadu has been very sentimental and very sensitive about it. So why to impose that? There is a competition of, you know, imposing things, you know, this way or that way, which should not happen. You see, I will recall that even Nehru and Gandhi had differences over this language policy. You see, so let it be like this. Now, this question of language settled very, very amicably, I believe, because we have seen a lot of linguistic riots before, and we have seen a lot of states coming up essentially based on language. I am not, just one point more, I am not against, you know, bringing those Avadhi, etc. and all by Yogi, but you know, why will you just try to communalize a language by calling Urdu out? No, this is not the way. And if tomorrow, if Yogi becomes very prominent, like earlier years, even Samajwadi party leaders, they would say, no, Hindi is the only language. Hindi is the only language. Does it work in this country? No, you have to be sensitive about the federation. This is a union of states, union of identities.
Madhavanti. I mean, why? I mean, you can include Braj, no problem. Include Bundeli, no problem. Include Avadi, no problem. But why have? I mean, this is clearly, you know, a subtle hint at communal spin to it. Because what's the problem with Urdu? Urdu is also spoken by a great mass of citizens in Uttar Pradesh.
There is absolutely no problem with Urdu. But what is their problem?
That's what Chief Minister suggested.
Yeah, but what is their problem if Avadi or other languages are included and translated? If you notice in Bollywood, sir, when you have titles of movies that are being projected, you'll have the title coming in English, then you'll have the title coming in Hindi, and then you'll have the title coming in Urdu. None of them at that point in time questioned as to why are these titles not coming in Marathi or Kannada or any of the other languages at that point in time. Everything had a touch of Urdu to it. As long as there is Urdu involved, nobody has a problem. But if Urdu is sidelined for a bit and some other language comes into the picture, immediately it becomes communal. So if it is Urdu, it is secular. Any other language, it is communal. Then what is the diversity they are talking about, sir? Where is the diversity?
Okay, Pullarao first. Pullarao, my question is it about Tamil identity? Or is it about
I tell
little
you,
soft
I don't know
Tamil
what-
separatism?
I'm really shocked in this age of artificial intelligence, where my phone can make me speak and understand how many languages I don't even know. And here you are taking such emphasis that the central minister says, no, I want, what is he doing? We are in the age
I
of
am so
artificial
sorry, Mr.
intelligence.
Pullarao.
We are-
I am amazed
we are-
at your... I am
we are
amazed at the
post-
very-
Kishore
We are
Subramaniam with a very
we are
interesting question
postmodern.
Pullarao has in fact asked. Even I'm curious, you know,
Very sorry,
why this stringent position that the union minister has
very
taken?
sorry.
Is it just a response to what Udaynidhi has been doing?
Hilarious. This is hilarious.
Yeah. One
You know,
second, one
very,
second.
very
Let me-
sorry
let me-
at the attitude of
Madhu,
the central
just allow me to respond.
Kishore.
Yeah, so let me
should have
just
said-
respond. So on a lighter note, if the phone has artificial intelligence and you don't need to language, let's stop and shut schools. Artificial intelligence is teaching you everything. ChatGPT teaches you everything.
Don't try to,
Grok teaches
don't
you
try
everything.
to
Let's
shout
shut schools.
Hindi. Don't
Everything
try
is
to
wrong,
shout.
right? Let's shut
Withdraw
schools.
it. Withdraw it.
This
Withdraw
type of,
withdraw the sack.
supervision. Mr. Pullarao, give me the respect of
it is-
responding.
it is
Let
money
us
for
shut
some.
up, shut
It
schools,
is
right?
money.
So dukaan band kar do na sab kuch. So Abhishek, let me put this very clear.
Absolutely.
I am liking it. You know,
They do
we are
not
discussing whether Hindi is being imposed on Tamil, and there is one Tamil defending it and one Tamil not defending it.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of our country. That's the beauty of our country.
Abhishek, let me put this point. I was born and brought up in Calcutta. I know Bangla, I know Hindi, my mother tongue Tamil, I know Odia, I know Gujarati. So the more the language, the merrier it is to do business. And let me tell you for one thing, this artificial intelligence is not a subject of being proud about. Artificial intelligence can lead to eventual death of brilliance and brain. Do not remember that you are building up Google children. Let us understand that if you ask Google which is good, it might give you an answer. But if you ask which is good for me, Google doesn't know you. So remember this, artificial intelligence is always subservient to natural intelligence. So let's not bullshit about this argument. With due respect to the gentleman, language has not been imposed. It's a choice, a skill, a knowledge, and something that can equip you to fight in other states and talk and communicate and make your way through.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Chandan Gowda. Let me go to Chandan Gowda. Chandan Gowda, you know, is there then a case of missing statesmanship? Like it is happening in the case of Belagavi, and you know, it's a long-standing dispute. It's been going on for maybe more than a couple of decades. We saw the last flare-up a few years back also. I mean, can't the leaders of Karnataka and Maharashtra come together and decide and let this issue, I mean, not keep coming up again and again? It's just a case of missing statesmanship, a give and take.
Difficult. No, I agree. I think something has to be done. You can't let it just linger like this. But you do know there's a political party in Belgaum that actually wins 2 seats to the assembly, and that party, his agenda is to say that we'll take Belgaum back to Maharashtra. So you can imagine there are these sorts of interests that have consolidated on the ground. So it's not all that easy. But having said that, the way it's happened, Abhishek, it's deeply unfortunate that both states, they've actually withdrawn buses on the grounds of the safety of passengers. It's not that they're not flexing muscles about who is more powerful. So understand that point here. But the way it happened is so unfortunate. It's completely possible that the conductor who was posted in Belgaum is from a region that doesn't speak Marathi. I don't think he was being defiant in not speaking it. And it's completely okay for the passengers to presume that a conductor here must understand me. So in this case, I would expect the government to be sensitive and, employ and use, send conductors there who are bilingually proficient. Now, these are things that have to be worked out, again, through dialogue and discussion. You can't have parroting of stances in terms of,
Abhishek, one point
in this state we should not speak that.
One last point.
Oh, coming to you, Kishore. I have to get Mr. Satish K. Singh. Mr. Singh, you were pushing the communalism argument, that communal spin argument. I am born in Uttar Pradesh, lived here for a while. You see, my understanding is that till at least mid-18th century, almost after the Mughal Empire, the main language in which Muslim or Islamic poetry was written was actually Awadhi, was not Urdu, was Braj Bhasha. not Urdu. So how do you associate Urdu now only with Muslims and hence it becomes a communal or an appeasement issue?
You don't need to have artificial intelligence or you need to be an Einstein to understand the contours and the tone and tenor of what is being said and what is being done. So I'm not naming anybody, but yes, the undertone is this. Number one. Number two, all of us are aware that Khadi Hindi was popularized only at the start of the 19th century, that's the previous century. So where was Hindi? Khadi Hindi before Bhartendu Harishchandra. I'm asking you the question. It's not about that. You should have a mindset that make Urdu a part and parcel of your language basket and don't communalize anything, yaar.
Kishore, last words. Okay, Kishore, last words. Before I move on to the next topic.
1 minute.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please, complete.
Not like, make them.
Abhishek, let me give you a very small story, less than a minute. I'm going to tell you a real life anecdote that happened between poet Subramanya Bharati and the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. There was a speech given by Mahatma Gandhi in Chennai where Subramanya Bharati was supposed to attend. Unfortunately, Mr. Bharati was busy that day. So the next day he came to Mahatma Gandhi and told him that I am very angry with you, Mr. Gandhi, because I would have been happy if you had spoken in Hindi, which is our national language, or if you had spoken in Gujarati, which is your mother tongue, but you chose to speak in English. And he wrote a condemning letter to Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi came back to Subramanya Bharati and said, why have you written the letter in English?
Okay.
So Subramanya Bharati gave back a counter repartee saying that when I criticize people, I criticize with a foreign language. If I have to appreciate, I would have appreciated you in Tamil or Hindi. So that's the value of learning our own languages. And let's not say English precedes, though it's a global official language in which you and me are talking. Let's take pride in learning every single language, including Hindi.
Okay, that's a beautiful anecdote to bring an end to this conversation. It's unfortunate that instead of focusing on, things like when India can beat China on AI, get our next DeepSeek, we are still, discussing these identity issues which should have been amicably solved with some statesmanship, as can be easily done in the case of Belagavi, for example, and of course, even Tamil Nadu, why not? At some stage, definitely.